Today we are playing a Khans of Tarkir draft league. Khans of Tarkir is my all-time favorite format, triple Khans. So let's go ahead and jump right in. Hopefully I've got this set up reasonably. And oh, I should probably sound. People hate the sound on this kind of thing. So let's switch that. 3 people in the queue. Hopefully this gets going first of all. What do I remember about this format? I've probably drafted it like hundreds of times. What do I remember? The morphs are the big thing, right? In terms of draft strategy, you don't need so many 2-drops. I think the biggest thing for me in terms of draft strategy is just understanding how valuable committing to certain colors is, how valuable in particular the fixing lands are. Got to a point where just in general value I would take the, well, if this wasn't I would take a land pretty highly. Yeah, okay. So if this weren't Phantom, I'd obviously be snapping off this Bloodstained Mire. But it is Phantom, so like Swiftwater Cliffs is better than Bloodstained Mire. This only gets you 2 colors in this format, and the allied colors is not where you want to be. You want to be in an enemy color, since those overlap 2 wedges. So here, I'm looking at Swiftwater Cliffs. I'm looking at Master of the Way, which was really good. Mardu Rough Rider is really good, but it commits you to Mardu or 5-color. It's not the greatest in 5-color. Master of the Way is really good. You can either be in Jeskai with it, or you can be in Teamer with it. Jeskai, Wind Scout, or Glacial Stalker are good 1-color cards. I think Master of the Way, if I remember right, is good enough. Here's what I would take. Uh, these cards are also okay, but a little bit too committal for my taste at this point. Glacial Stalker was a common I was always happy to have, as was Disowned Ancestor, but it's not that high of a pick. Neither is this really. The Wind Scout was good. Okay, a lot of blue cards here that are good. So Ice Feather Aven is really powerful. When you flip it up, you could bounce a thing. Pearl Lake Ancient, it's good, but it's better in Constructed, I think. Um, in Limited, what does this card really do for you? Well, it usually eats a thing. You flash it in, it eats a thing. Um, Misfire Weaver's also good. 4 mana, 3 power flyer. I think this is the best card in the pack. You can go Teamer this way. I do like Teamer. Pearl Lake Ancient, though, how good is it? I mean, you usually get to survive to 7 mana. It's just going to be the biggest thing on the board, and it gets to eat something. I'm going to take the Aven. This is probably wrong. The Ice Dad. Okay, so here I see a Tri-land. That's really good. All these other cards look pretty bad, except Ruthless Ripper is the next best card in the set, in this pack. Feat of Resistance is also good if I were going to go like Jeskai. But if I'm going to go Jeskai, I probably need the fixing more. So I'm just going to take this. If I'm playing Teamer, it's just like a dual land, but it also gives me more options. So it's pretty clear land here for me. Bring Low is okay, but not that strong. Bear's Companion is a pretty good card going with this Teamer strategy. Defiant Strike is fine, but again, better constructed. This is a fine card, but you don't want to get too much delve. This card is really good in red aggressive decks, Aerostorm, but I don't know how aggressive we really are. I'm leaning pretty heavily towards this and further solidifying going Teamer. I would strongly consider if there was a good land for our deck here, but there isn't. I'm going to take the Bear's Companion. This Mystic of the Hidden Way is pretty good, but I am big on fixing, so I'm just going to take more fixing right now. There are a lot of playables in this set, so you're usually going to get there on playables. I want my mana to be good. Awaken the Bear is fine. Mardu Horde Chief, this is really late. The card is really good. The 2/3 by itself is good. Warriors was a pretty good deck here. Awaken the Bear is playable, but kind of whatever. Mystic of the Hidden Way gives me another morph. Gives me some more of this prowess, well, like chip in damage. Tranquil Cove would help me splash white cards. Going with my Mystic Monastery. I guess I could still be Jeskai, but I'm going to take the Mystic of the Hidden Way here. Okay, so this is a 0. This is my lands. This is my 2 drops, which I'm probably playing 3 drops here. So this is basically, I'm going to play it as a morph usually. Also usually going to play this as a morph. Yeah. So if we're going to be teamer, the best common is the Savage Punch, I think it's called, the Bear Punch. It's a 2 mana sorcery fight spell that if you have a 4 power or higher creature, gives your target +2/+2. Wow, this is another really late good white card. Einok Bondkin. This is fantastic. Abomination, again, this is a really good morph here, but I'd take the Jungle Hollow over it, I think. I could take the Bondkin, but like my teamer cards don't really play well with these white cards, even though they are good white cards. Bloodfire Expert, while not really all that good, I could also take a Monastery Flock. Well, I guess I took the Expert. Einok Tracker versus a potential splash land. Einok Tracker is actually a fine playable, I think, but it's rightly not considered that good. So I'm going to take the Dismal Backwater here. Oh, I'm very happy to get this. Barrage of Boulders would be okay, but Glacial Stalker is literally the card that, well, other than basic lands, Glacial Stalker is the card that I own the most copies of on Magic Online. I have drafted it so many times. Would love to get some of the, what is it, Snowhorn Rider? That's the Teamer morph. That's a 5/5 trampler. The card's like, quite nice, but I haven't seen any of those. Disdainful Stroke is much more of a constructed card. Jeskai Banner, We Fate, like these, none of these cards is that good. I guess I'll take the Banner. Rakshasa's Secret might be good enough that I go for that. Embodiment of Spring in the sideboard. I guess it's playable, but like you're pretty unlikely to have Island, this, and Forest such that you can play it. Perfectly happy to play a Monastery Flock. Okay, so this is fine. The Bloodfire Expert is not the greatest in this deck. So, like, if I can get away with not playing it, then that's good. Particularly because I only have the one instant of sorcery right now. Heavily blue with some red and a little bit of green. My fixing isn't quite where I want it to be, although it's kind of close. I guess it's around where I would expect it to be for a 3-color deck at this point. Teamer Ascendancy. Well, I don't think that's actually a very good card. It's just hard to get enough things that are big enough. And the haste isn't that good in this format. This format tends to be a little bit board stally. So I'm looking at Opulent Palace, which would go with my Dismal Backwater and let me play some black cards, as well as just being a blue-green land. Teamer Charger is a fine morph, but nothing spectacular. Woolly Loxodon is pretty good, and particularly in Teamer, it's the biggest morph. So I think I'm either taking it or the Teamer Charger. I wouldn't be unhappy necessarily with an Alpine Grizzly in this deck, or another Mystic of the Hidden Way, but they're certainly not premium. But I could also take the Opulent Balance and leave myself open towards being a four-color, no white deck. Um, they're good black splashes. I'm leaning more towards the Loxodon though. Another Mystic Monastery or Thornwood Falls. Um, so here I have to think. There's no other really good card for my deck. Ponyback Brigade is fine, but not in this deck. Act of Treason's pretty bad in this set. This card's not very good. This card is not very good. This card is fine. These cards are okay, but not that good. So the Thornwood Falls is going to be slightly better if I'm just Teamer, but taking another Mystic Monastery gets me closer to being able to splash a white, most likely a Jeskai card. Um, this is also more likely of a card to wheel. The Thornwood Falls. Um, I think at this point I'm pretty unlikely to splash white. Because there were a lot of white good cards later on. I guess I'll take the Monastery here, but it's a little bit tough. Bingo. Anafenza is fantastic and tells me that nobody is in. This is also maybe probably the best common, although Savage Punch is also really good. Anafenza is amazing, and apparently none of these people are Abzan. Um, but I'm so far away from that, I can't take it. Hopefully, the Snowhorn Rider will wheel, but Savage Punch is really, 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 really good. So I need to take it here. Yeah. Hardened Scales, Modern All-Star Hardened Scales is a card. Horde Ambusher, it's okay. This is a pretty decent, reasonable looking trick, actually, the Dragon Scale Boon. Particularly, people will probably play around it a little bit less. In these flashbacks, I think the Horde Ambusher, this isn't really the deck for it. I'm more going big. So Aerostorm again, but the problem with Aerostorm is it's double red. I think I'm actually going to take the Dragon Scale Boon. Because I could also take a land and still be open to splashing black later, but I kind of think that ship has sailed a little bit. I'm going to take the Boon here. This is all messed up. Secret Plans. Well, that is a build around and a half. How many morphs do I have? Again, this land isn't for us. There's basically almost nothing else to take here, so I'm almost certainly taking the Secret Plans. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 morphs right now, and this is just a really good build around card. So here is Sultai Soothsayer is really good payoff for being black. I've kind of passed up on all those black lands though. I could take a Sagu Archer. It goes well with my Secret Plans. I could take a Roar of Challenge. Teamer Banner. I'm not high on banners. Sorry, Neil Oliver. This is a lure that gives indestructible. That's potentially a way to break through in game-winning fashion. I think I'm going to take it. Okay, Canyon Lurkers is... Right now I'm pretty blue-green and I'm just kind of splashing red a little bit for these two cards. I could actually still try to go for more Sultai, I guess. Probably not playing this card either. I think here, probably just taking Highland Game. I could take a Canyon Lurkers just to have another morph. I guess that goes well with the Secret Plans. Yeah. Yeah, plus this card can get in some surprising damage sometime. Let's do this. Disdainful Stroke, Leaf Fate. Again, this is a really late copy of this card. I actually think none of these cards is good enough to take over this land. And actually that land, I guess we'll take this. This is letting me splash white pretty well if that ever comes up to be good. What of these awful cards do I want to take? Whenever it pings a defending creature, it's not very good in this set. I guess I'm gonna take this, but I'm never playing any of them. Oh, it came back. That is very, very good for me. More lands. If I somehow need a bunch of 2-drops, I can play that. This is the banner that I most want, but I don't really want it. Okay, so I have 3 lands basically for my deck. The Windscarred Crag, like I can play, but I don't really want to. 14 playables. I want to end up with 18 lands, so 22 spells. I can play Bloodfire Mentor or Embodiment of Spring. Not Mentor, Expert. I guess I could play the Mentor too, but wow, Sidisi's really good. Obviously, I have 2 pieces of fixing for it. I think, though, probably just want to take another Bear Punch. Crippling Chill is a fine card. Ifrit Weapon Master I wouldn't mind taking because I have 3 lands that can fix for it and it's a morph. But Bear Punch is so good. How many big things do I have that wow? Mantis Rider. Oh! Mantis Rider is also really good and often just wins the game if you can play it on turn 3. I have 3 pieces of fixing for it. See, the thing is, Longshot Squad is probably not the best deck for it, but it's still fine. Heir of the Wilds is pretty good too. How many 4-power creatures do I have? Not that many. I have a Glacial Stalker, Shoehorn Rider, Canyon Lurkers, Loxodon. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Mantis Rider is so good. Heir of the Wild blocks like anything. I don't have any removal. Oh wait, I have 2 Bear Punches. This is tough because the best card is definitely Mantis Rider, but off of only 3 white sources, I don't think I can take it because you really want to be playing it on turn 3 for it to be impactful enough. I'm gonna take the Heir to the Wilds. It hurts me, especially with all of these white lands. Bivouac. Ooh, that's Bivouac. My mana is a lot better now. A Wind Scout would be good. This card is not that good in this deck, I think, but underrated a bit. Saddle Brute is really good. I might wheel something here, but I gotta take a Bivouac. So if it were a later game, really good Jeskai card like Flying Crane Technique, maybe I would have been much more inclined to take it. But this one, I'm less inclined to. Witness of the Ages. I'm gonna take over Inoc Tracker here. It's a little bit easier on the mana, but the bigger reason is that it works better with the Savage Punch and stuff. Kindred Evocation, really good card. So here I can take Hooting Mandrills. I don't have any Delve cards yet, so the Hooting Mandrills is pretty good. I could take another land. I could take another Morph. This is pretty likely to wheel. This probably won't. This is obviously like uncastable in almost any deck, and this is a good card which I don't think I can cast. Again, I only have 2 black sources, and that ship has sailed a little bit, I think. Hooting Mandrill it's a fine card. It's my first Delve spell, so I'm leaning towards it. How am I on lands? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra sources of my primary colors. I want to end up with... That's not that bad. Even if I don't get any more, it wouldn't be the worst ever. Okay, so here Warden of the Eye is good, and I would take it. This is another one of the late cards that the Windscarred Crag would lead me towards, but Master of the Way is just so good. I'm going to take it instead. Again, I'd like to get one more land if I can, but if I can't, oh well. Again, the ship has sailed on black at this point. Scout the Borders. This isn't really the deck for it. I'm going to take another Morph. With my secret plans, these Morphs get a lot better because they can block opposing Morphs, and they can also draw me cards when I unmorph them, which is, both of those things are really, really good. This should be a Jeskai Wind Scout. Again, a land that doesn't help me. This card's basically unplayable. So Not so uncommon in this set. I have a million 3 drops because all my morphs I'm treating like 3 drops. Um, I have a lot of blue. In fact, all of my lands are blue-red, so I'm probably going to have a decent number of basic forests. I'm going to take the Efreet Weapon Master here. It works with everything in my deck, and I have 3 ways to unmorph it. I don't really need more. The Sidisi Wield, which means like no one is in Sultai. How many black lands can I expect to wheel? Like I could play this card. Maybe I should, but I don't have enough time to think about it enough. I'm going to do this. Well, I'm not playing any of the other cards, so I guess I'm going to take this card in case I magically get a bunch of black lands. I could play this. I could also take the Scaldkin or the Leaping Master, but eh. Okay. So I'm going to need to make one cut because I want to play 18 lands here. I can also think about playing like this Embodiment of Spring. Um, the Monastery Flocks help my flying defense, so I'm not too worried about that. I need to make sure that I have enough things to be able to punch through, so the Roar of Challenge can do that. It can also kind of act as a removal spell or a way to end the game. I think I'm going to cut the Inoc Tracker. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards that naturally work with my ferocious cards, and this card can get you there. I think this is a pretty decent deck. I have 3 white sources, which is going to be plenty for my 1 morph. I'm not going to add any planes to the deck. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red sources, 1, 2, 3, 4 blue sources, and just 1 green source. So I need to make sure I have mostly green sources. This is 5, so 6, 7. This will give me 8, 10. I need to add 13 lands to the deck, so this would give me 7 green, 8 red, and 8 blue. 4 blue, 8, yeah. So I don't need that many red, I think. I'm more interested in making sure that I have green and blue. So this is 887, 8 green, 8 blue, 7 red. That looks about right to me. And 3 white for the unmorph here. This looks right to me. Let's save the deck and go to round 1. I expect I'll probably 2-1. This deck isn't fantastic, but it has some beef. The Woolly Loxodon, this card, this card. These can help be some beef. The Dragon Scales Boon, the Roar of Challenge, enough defense. Secret Plans may be the best card in the deck. Master the Way can. It's just a great card. It usually kills something and draws you a card. Sometimes it's just a great 2-for-1. Sometimes it can also be used to just finish the opponent off. This is pretty much what I want my teamer decks to do for the most part. Okay, so we have all of our colors. We're on the draw, which isn't the greatest, but isn't so bad. 4 lands is pretty close to where we want to be. The big thing you usually love to be able to do is let's play the Mystic Monastery, I guess. Maybe it should have been the Windscarred Crag. let's see if I can affect my volumes down a little bit lower. Hopefully that will help a bit. Now I'm going to have to figure out which morph I want to play. I guess the Mystic of the Hidden Way, if I don't want to trade, is the one that I want to play. If I do want to trade, which of my morphs do I? Well, I guess we'll see what I draw here. It looks like I'm a Jeskai deck right now, and I may play into that. I don't think I have any double green that I need super quickly. There's a morph. Probably need to trade at this point. So which of these would I rather trade? And my opponent is Abzan. That means they're probably going to have a pretty good ground force. Abzan, there's some white flyers too. How good is a Freet Weapon Master in the first strike in those cases? I'm going to play an island, and I'm going to morph something. I'm going to trade it for their morph. And the next turn, there's a good chance I'm going to morph the other thing and trade it with their morph again. I think I bite the bullet and say, okay, Ifrit Weapon Master, I'm just going to trade you off. The Mystic of the Hidden Way can be useful in a long game. Maybe that's wrong, but being able to punch through in a long game can be a big deal. So these are going to trade. You have some trick. Awaken the Bear, sure. Okay. So now I'm going to morph this and plan on trading it off. If they don't have a land, if they do have a land, I probably need to trade it for the Smoky Tea. An untapped land, that is. Has to be untapped. Sasha Vujacic, this is a pro player if I remember right. So what morphs is this representing? There's the black one, which is a 5/3. There's the white one, which is a 3/6. There's the Abzan one, which is a 4/4 lifelink. Well, too many of those eat what I'm doing here. There's probably also some higher rarity ones. Like there's the 5/5 green one. That's a higher rarity. This is probably the 5/3 or the 4/4 lifelink. Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. So I can kill the morph with Master the Way. I can play Bear's Companion. Or I could play Hooting Mandrills, but that's just worse than playing Bear's Companion, basically. I can't play Hooting Mandrills and Savage Punch this turn. If I play Bear's Companion right now, then if he attacks next turn, what do I do? I could double block the morph. I think that's likely to be the best play. If he just attacks with the morph, then I'm at most taking like 6, and Abzan doesn't have a lot of ways to push through the last few points of damage, so I think I'm going to play it this way. Master the Way is interesting in that if I kill this, then the next turn I have 3 things in my graveyard. This can cost 3 or 4, whatever. I could play Hooting Mandrills and Savage Punch in the same turn. But actually, I can do that next turn anyway. And it's also likely that the actual Bear's Companion itself is going to get traded off. I don't think there's any response that Abzan can have here. He could flip up his morph if there's only a couple of morphs that it could be for that. Any other spell doesn't make sense in response to this, though, I don't think. So we'll see what he does here. I don't have a great feeling on what this morph could be. Yeah, it could be anything really. If it's the 6/7, I don't know. Okay, so Abzan Ascendancy means he can't. This is first morph. Okay, cool. So I think the play here is to Savage Punch to kill the morph and then attack. And then play Hooting Mandrills on defense. And then you're going to have a 1/1 flyer, but I think I'm racing reasonably well. So let's start by going with a Savage Punch against the morph. Yeah, this should work. It was okay. It was the lifelink Abzan morph. Now, if I attack, he's going to trade it for the Smoke Teller. He's going to have two 1/1 flyers. Whereas if I don't attack, I get to keep this. That's just better. I need to not attack. And I'm going to play this, and I'm going to delve. I'm going to keep the spell in my graveyard just because it actually doesn't matter given my deck, but this represents that I could have the 2 in a Jeskai 3/3 that regrows a spell. Shouldn't attack here, and he's going to hit in for 1, but if he doesn't top deck something good here, I'm going to have good attacks. Even if he does top deck something good, I may have good attacks. My Master of the Way, I don't have a lot of cards in hand right now, so that's something to think about, but let's go ahead, and there's a good chance he has some kind of a trick here. He could just have a land, of course. I need to start racing, so we're going to hit for 8. Plan on playing the Glacial Stalker post-combat. And my board is just much bigger than his at this point, so I feel like I'm in a really good spot. The Master of the Way also presents lethal next turn if he doesn't block my these guys. So holding 2 cards in hand is a little bit but I'm thinking about attacking with everything here. Gets in a couple more damage. I think this is just good. We'll see what he blocks. Okay. Goes to 2. Master of the Way is face. Cool. Okay. Abzan. Well, I don't have much in the way of sideboard cards, which is pretty common for me in this kind of a matchup. He has a lot of combat tricks. Like he had 2 Awaken the Bear, which is an okay but not great card. I don't really have anything I think that matches up well against that, so I think I'm going to run it back. Yeah. Jeskai Wind Scout is probably my weakest card in this matchup, but shrug. I just don't have much. I guess I could have boarded in an Einok Tracker for it. 2 forests is not the best lands to start with, but mulliganing is really bad in this format. I'm going to keep. It's fine if I draw a 3rd land and I have 16 more and 3 draws to get there. Well, I guess some of the lands on turn 3 won't be good because I need to have 3 untapped lands on turn 3. But um, so 2 draws to get to any land and a third draw to get to most of my lands. I'm likely to get there. Any land I can play Alpine Grizzly and Snowhorn Rider and Savage Punch. Um, so not drawing a land there, not great. Um, but I'm like 85% to get there, I think, something like that. Um, Somewhere in that like 80-85% chance to be where I want to be. If I'm not where I want to be, then that's really bad. Um, and I guess I really like more lands, but like mulliganing to 6, it's not like I'm gonna have a lot more lands anyway. So I think, yeah, I just we're gonna go with this. Again, my opponent probably doesn't have a big decision here. It's probably just they're doing something else. Something else has distracted them. The decisions they could have are what land to play, most likely. Um, so if they have certain tap lands, which one to play first. If they have a tap land, it's almost certain that they drew it this turn, because if they had a tap land on turn 1, they would have played it instead of playing the plains. In fact, tap land is by far the most common turn 1 play in this format. Also, if he has a 2-drop, then that might make him want to play an untapped land, even though he has a tap land that he's just drawn. But most likely he doesn't have a tap land. Sasha Vujacic, by the way, I know, is the name of a basketball player, but I've played against this guy on MTGO. I don't think it's the actual basketball player. I think it's a fan of the basketball player using that as his name here. Swamp. Trying to think what 2-mana plays he could have. Like Debilitating Injury is a 2-mana play, but I obviously don't have creatures, so that's the best 2-mana play that you can represent with this mana. You could play Jeskai Student, you could play Mardu Hateblade, but again, he would have had to draw on that this turn, or he would have played it last turn. Probably has nothing. Boom, I drew my land. So that leaves me pretty happy. I'm going to be playing an Alpine Grizzly next turn, almost certainly. I guess there's some chance that I play the Morph, because I'd rather trade the Morph off, but this seems pretty unlikely. I do have to think about the Hooting Mandrills, so is there any way I can play the Hooting Mandrills on turn 4? Assuming I draw a land, I would need to have a 3-drop. No, there's no way. I can't get enough. I can't get enough cards in the yard. I could play it on turn 5 in a lot of ways, but not on turn 4 at all. So the other thing about the Alpine Grizzlies is it turns on my Savage Punch a lot better and gets me more on the aggressive side of things. We really have to see what he plays here. It looks like he's probably gotten a phone call or another match that's come up or something. I don't think there's any big events going on Magic Online this weekend. That's probably not true. It's Labor Day weekend. They usually would try to take advantage of that somehow. And I guess they have the weekly challenges every week. So maybe he's also playing in that and had a round come up, which would be kind of annoying, but shrug. It used to be that you would have people multi-queuing all the time, but with the advent of leagues, the need for that has diminished greatly, because usually it's only the scheduled events that you need to double queue in. But there are scheduled events, so this is starting to be the most likely thing in my mind. Um, he's down on the clock, but like he's in no danger of timing out because all these matches are played with fairly long time limits. Um, this is a point in the game where I would normally tab over and look at something on the internet. There's really not that much to be thinking about right now. There will be probably starting next turn, but there isn't much right now, so I just go look at other stuff. There's a couple of problems with that. One, I'd like to keep trying to talk to you to keep the video a bit entertaining. But two, even if I weren't worried about that, like the way that Magic Online is, I can't set it up to where I'm looking at anything else on my computer without everybody else reading it, and I don't need to be doing that. So probably that's partially on me at least, since I have a single monitor setup and live in the Stone Ages, by which I mean like 2003. Uh, I just have one monitor, so maybe that will change at some point, but for now I'm still on one monitor, and we're still going to be waiting for this particular person to be playing. Yeah, he's almost certainly either multi-queuing or gotten a phone call or someone in his door or something. I'm assuming it's a he. I'm pretty sure it's a he. I'm pretty sure I at some point knew who this person was, and it was a he. Also, Sasha Vujacic is uh, a male basketball player. So I sincerely apologize if it's not a he. Um, yeah, but I'm pretty sure that it is. So I played my land, 2 minute wait. I passed the turn, 2 minute wait, and he's played the swamp. So yeah, people who think that slow rolling is a is a big deal in some other games, this doesn't really bother me that much. And if it weren't a video, it would bother me a lot less even. Um, and well, okay, I'm doing the video here, so yeah, like I can't really complain. That's on me. Um, I really don't want to. This guy is perfectly within his rights, and it's really not a problem at all. Um, right? One of the things is we've agreed to play a game with a time limit, and so I shouldn't really be upset if he uses the full extent of the time that he's been allotted to him, um, with the possible exception of like, I have absolute 100% lethal. He clearly can't do anything because he's tapped out, and and then he starts, you know, passing priority and waiting 4 minutes and passing priority. Like in that case, that's a bit of a slow roll, but we're far from that here. And if he wants to spend his time splitting it between this and another game or something, it's more power to him, right? He could. There's nothing from my side to be differentiating that he isn't necessarily making these really important decisions all the time. So I can't really be too upset with him, and I'm really not. The only reason I'm talking about it at all is just because it's probably a bit of a boring video for you. But again, um, it's not his responsibility to make my video for you very interesting. So uh, that's kind of on me. Okay, Mystic Monastery is a tap land. We're going to play a 3-drop here and a 3-drop next turn, so we're going to play the tap land next turn. So I'm going to play the Forest here. And now I have to decide between Alpine Grizzly and the Snowhorn Rider. If I play the Alpine Grizzly now, I probably don't want to block. I don't really want to block with either one. And if I'm not going to block with either one, then I think the Grizzly is better because it gives me some options. I can either play a Roar of Challenge next turn, I can play a Savage Punch next turn, I can play my Morph next turn, and I'm probably not blocking anyway. He doesn't have green mana yet showing, but if he draws green mana, um, he could easily have Awaken the Bear. He showed us 2 copies of that last game. So that's going to be able to overcome any size creature I have at this point. The downside of not blocking here is that he's going to be on 5 mana first next turn, potentially. Um, Although there is something to be said. Ooh, he's played his tap land pre-combat, which makes my decision a little more interesting. It makes it a lot more likely that he has 5 lands next turn. Again, he had to have drawn that either last turn or this turn. If he drew it last turn, there's a reasonable chance that he would have played a swamp, uh, the swamp that he played anyway, and then played his morph. So, well, the reason he wouldn't have played the Blossoming Sands last turn is so he could play his morph last hand. But basically, he if he would have had it on turn 1 or 2, he would have played it then. So he's drawn it within the last couple of turns. Um, I was going to say leading on all untapped lands probably makes it less likely that he has a lot more lands in his hand, because you usually try to play at least a few tap lands, and if you're playing out untapped lands when you have nothing to use the mana on, that means for sure he didn't have tapped lands in his hand. He should attack here almost certainly. If he doesn't attack here, it's really weird, and I don't know what I would make of that. What could he be representing if he doesn't attack here? I fully expect him to just, after a pause here, still attack. But if he doesn't attack, the biggest thing that I would think that that could represent is Feat of Resistance, which is 1 and a white instant. Put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Maybe it's target creature you control. It's target creature you control. That creature gains protection from a color of your choice until end of turn. He didn't attack, which makes me suspect that, well, it's either one of two things. One is that he really values this morph very highly and doesn't have any way to protect it. Two, it could be that he. Oh, it could just be that he's planning to block my 4 power creature. That's probably the most obvious explanation, and I feel a little bit stupid if that's what it is. Um, be a little bit weird if he doesn't have any play at all here. I mean, obviously, I'm going to have to wait and see what I draw before I decide what to do. My inclination is to probably play Roar of Challenge and just trade that for his morph. Um, that seems like it's probably going to be the best thing that I'm going to want to do here. It also gets 1 card in my graveyard, so that if I draw an untapped land, then I can play Hooting Mandrills on 5. If I draw another land, I can play my Snowhorn Rider unmorphed on 6. I did draw a land. It's not a tap land, or it is a tap land, excuse me. It's not an untapped land. Uh, so let's see. My options are to Roar of Challenge, kill this, attack. Uh, that doesn't get blown out by anything. I could Savage Punch, which kind of gets, and then attack, and I deal a couple more damage that way. I deal some damage to him. But I think I'd rather keep the Savage Punch in reserve even more than the Roar of Challenge, honestly. Um, which may be counterintuitive and maybe is wrong, because the Roar of Challenge, like the lure effect, can be really good later on. Uh, but that also gets blown out by Feat of Resistance, so that makes me a little bit leery of it. I don't think there's. I guess the other thing is there's the. No. I was thinking there's one of these, like when it dies, it comes back instants for black, but I think that's actually not an instant. That's an aura. So I'm gonna play this on all creatures able to target creature this turn. Do so on this, and there is no morph that survives this. So this could also be Ruthless Ripper that won't survive. It can be the white one. So that won't survive either. Roost Watcher, I think it's called. Um, and then it could be Sidisi's Pet, which is the 1/4 lifelink that morphs for a 1 and a black. But that's not going to survive either. He could morph it up and gain a life. But I'm not too worried about that. I'm going to play the Windscarred Crag as my land for this turn, because I don't think double blue is going to be relevant before I have it anyway, and I'd rather gain the life now. It's almost certainly not going to make a difference between the Windscarred Crag and the Mystic Monastery. In fact, like gaining the life now, the double blue is more likely to be relevant. I guess I'm playing the Mystic Monastery. It's more likely that the double blue is relevant somehow in my series of lands that I draw after this before the Windscarred Crag, but it's extremely unlikely that either one will matter. I guess, no. The reason I want to play the Windscarred Crag is if there is a discard spell, I can discard. I'm probably not discarding a land. I'm probably discarding a land. I don't know. But if I am discarding a land, I would rather discard the Mystic Monastery. So I would think there probably isn't a discard spell coming at me because the most likely discard spell is Rakshasa's Secret, and he would have cast that last turn. And uh, yeah, what are the other discard spells? That I think there are other ones, but it's the Mind Rot variant. It's basically it's Mind Rot and then you mill two, or maybe it's both players mill two. I think it's just you mill two off the top of your library into your graveyard, which is good for Sultai stuff. Delve, I should say. Not so much Sultai stuff, but Delve. He's actually getting kind of dangerously low on time here. This format, the games take a bit of a long time. So, oh, he's disconnected. Maybe this whole thing has just been connection problems or technical problems. These games tend to take a long time. It's a slow, kind of a grindy format. You get to use all your mana for a long time. Really great format. But given that I'm up a game, it seems kind of unlikely that he's going to be able to come back, win this game, and then also win game three in enough time to win the match. So I feel really good about my position now. Abzan Ascendancy is a great card. Double Awaken the Bear is kind of unusual, and it's not really where Abzan wants to be. Um, it's fine. I mean, it's fine. Awaken the Bear, like, it goes on Alpine Grizzly real well. It's more of a teamer card, honestly, I think. Sultai, yeah, really not where Sultai wants to be. Probably better in Abzan than Sultai, but probably at its best in teamer, and it's just like, it's an okay card, but So we're ticking down here. I'm feeling pretty good that I'm going to win this match. So the rest of this turn is probably going to play out. Roar of Challenge is going to resolve. I'm going to attack. I'm going to eat the morph. I'm going to play my Windscarred Crag. He's going to untap. He may have a land. He probably has a play. It's probably a creature. My next turn, I either am going to have 5 untapped mana. I can either play Master the Way or Hooting Mandrills, or Savage Punch, or maybe I don't have 5 untapped mana. I can basically only play Savage Punch, in which case I probably will play Savage Punch. In that case, kill his play and attack for 6. Then after that, I'm going to want to get my Snowhorn Rider down, look for a good place to play the Master of the Way, the Hooting Mandrills, and just have my big beefy guys end up winning it for me. The biggest threat to me winning in such a scenario is probably a Woolly Loxodon, which would lean towards me trying to protect my Savage Punch, which would allow my Snowhorn Rider to eat the Woolly Loxodon to successfully fight within combat. But I could also just have enough damage potentially before that point, because it's 7 mana or 6 to unmorph, so it's going to be a while before he can actually get a Woolly Loxodon online. So I could just have enough damage in at that point that I can like just finish him off by chump attacking in a Master of the Way or something like that. Okay, he's reconnected. My screen's telling me that was a minute ago now. He's down to 4 minutes and 15 seconds. Is really not enough time to win 2 games, I don't think. So, um, yeah, I feel, obviously I don't like to win based on connection problems. It is what it is. Um, it's not my fault that he's having connection problems, but probably not his fault that he's having connection problems. I'm assuming it's connection problems. It could also just be like tech problems. Sometimes the client doesn't like work quite right and it doesn't show, and like there's a ton of lag for whatever reason, and sometimes that's like your internet side, but sometimes it's also sometimes it's the client. And that's the case, then it's really not his fault. It's kind of the fault of the programmers or whatever. Oh, and we have it resolved. Cool. Well, we may still get to finish this game out. And he just conceded. It was an Obzon guide. Okay. Well, not the way I really want to win, but I guess a win is a win. Um, yeah. Coming back now for quick match 2. Hopefully this person joins. Okay. This one is not a name I recognize. Ooh, turn 2 Secret Plants is fantastic. Just need a third land and I can get my Snowhorn Rider down. I can get my Jeskai Wind Scout down. Some more lands can get me to my Master the Ways. This is a really good hand. Little bit land light. I'm on the draw again. Being on the draw, well, it's interesting. This is a lot of the hallmarks of a format where you would actually kind of maybe even prefer to be on the draw. But the big thing about being on the play in this format is that you get to unmorph first. There's this 5 mana rule that none of the morphs can flip up to something that beats a morph in combat until you're spending 5 mana to beat that morph in combat. So uh, getting to 5 mana first with the chance to unflip gives you like a nice initiative, which is pretty nice. But other than that, it doesn't make a difference. So I have secret plans down. Red white either means Jeskai. The Windscarred whatever Crag means he probably drew that on turn 2. Otherwise he would have played it on turn 1. Or it could just be like a misplay. That's also possible, but I'm going to assume that my opponents aren't playing badly. But I would more guess Mardu. I don't know why. I think it's more likely to be Mardu than it is to be. So Canyon Lurkers I'm playing out here. I don't know why I think it's more likely to be Mardu than Jeskai, but I do. Canyon Lurkers I'm playing out here because I would rather, and it is Mardu, I would rather have the Canyon Lurkers die than the Snowhorn Rider. But playing a morph is good because it holds off the opposing morphs. So here I want to play the Snowhorn Rider. I can flip this up and draw a card, but I have plenty of value in my hand already. I would like to morph this down, play my tap land. This way I also get to play my tap land. And then next turn I can flip this Snowhorn Rider up and draw a card, and it'll be the biggest thing on the board. So we're going to hold back. This is kind of a dead giveaway that this morph, I mean, this is usually the case anyway, but that this morph is something valuable enough that I don't want to lose it. But like I would also think that this morph is a lot less valuable than this morph. That's just tends to be how the way things play out. I could have played Jeskai Wind Scouts as well, but yeah, I want to be able to flip this thing up. So this is 5 mana. The Mardu morph is Ponyback Brigade. It's still a 2/2 when you flip it up, but when you flip it up, you get 3/1/1 red goblins. This, let's see. If it's the white one, it's a 3/6. If it's the black one, it's a 5/3. If it's the red one, it's a 3/3 first strike. So this is what I'm talking about with the 5 mana. He has 5 mana up, so I kind of just have to take it. And Mardu Hateblade. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. So the Death Touch, which he's going to have the mana up for, is going to be something that yeah, that he can use. So I'm just going to pass here. I'm going to plan on flipping this, probably this one up um, after I block. This eats any morph that he can have except for the black one. If he has the black one, then oh well. The black one being, I think it's Kumar Bondkin. It's a 5 mana. It's a 3 black black for a 5/3 that morphs for 4 and a black. Um, the white one is War Behemoth. It's 5 and a white for a 3/6 that morphs for 4 and a white. And then Einok Tracker is the red one. It is 5 and a red for a 3/3 first strike that morphs for 4 and a red. So, and then it could be Ponyback Brigade, which is a 2/2 that, as I said, flips up to make 3/1/1s. So he's probably going to attack here. If he attacks with this, I'm just going to eat it, or take it, I mean, eat the damage. As it is here, I'm going to block like this. He has to make a move now, which he'll probably flip something up. And it is the 5/3, so I do only get a trade here. This is the worst case scenario for me, but he may, if he knows the format, if they know the format, I should say. If my opponent knows the format, then they know that this is, maybe they wouldn't have attacked otherwise. So anyway, they still get to hold up their, they still get to hold up their Hate Blade. I'd really like to draw a land here. I can play Jeskai, Windscout, and Savage Punch, but the Savage Punch can't kill anything. I could kill the Hate Blade, but it's actually trading for the Hate Blade, so that's not very good. So I can't really two-spell here. I can flip up my 5/2, which isn't great. I could play a Master the Way, which seems like a waste. I think I'm going to flip up my 5/2. This is really not fantastic. You know what? This is the other way I can two-spell. I can do this. I can Savage Punch, but there's nothing I want to Savage Punch. So I'm going to hold up the mana here. And then the next turn, I can flip this up and be prepared to... what is this? This is a lot of mana. Oh, it's a... So that's something I can kill with the Master of the Way. Okay. I think I want to attack with both. He's probably going to block here. Okay. Well, obviously we're going to make him move first. This is a bit of an unusual block because this card is more likely to be more valuable. But that's okay. I can still do this, which I'm only doing to draw my card, but like it's a free card, man. I'm gonna take it. 4 mana draw card. Oh wow, that's the best possible draw in my deck. Because I don't want to Savage Punch anything right now, but I am very happy to do this. So let's see. My opponent probably attacks me for 3 with his flyer, or with their flyer. I feel like I'm in great position in this game, but obviously there's a few cards left still in hand, and I think what I think are probably both of the strongest cards in this format are white. So that's Wingmate Rock, 3 white, 3/4 flying. Whenever you attack, gain 1 life for each attacking creature you control. And it has Raid, make another 3/4 flying token. And then the other best card I think is High Sentinels of Ereshkigal, which is 3 and a white for a 3/4 flyer. You can pay 3 and a white to put counters on stuff. Okay, let's see. If I flip this up, pre-combat, that gets this to be +1/+1 bigger, which is pretty good. I think I'm just going to go ahead and do that and just damage race here. Actually, and I'm going to play a Savage Punch to kill the Morph, which I'm a lot more worried about than I am the Flyer. Now I'm going to get in for 6 even if he chumps, and otherwise I'm getting in for 12. It was Sidisi's pet, so another bad Morph, but that's okay. This has first strike. Yeah, so I'm in really good shape now. Let's see, I can probably win next turn. There's a good chance anyway that I can win next turn. Maybe it probably is overselling it a bit. Right. So if he has Wingmate Rock, I can just kill them with Master the Way and Savage Punch. And probably... Wait a minute. Do I have lethal with Master the Way? With just Master the Way? Next turn, I will have 6 cards in hand. And then, well, there's the Sidisi's pet, so if he gains the life here, then I don't have lethal. Because I'll have 6 cards in hand, I play this, that gets me down to 5, but you draw the card first, so that gets you up to 6. Also, I guess you could have Rakshasa's Secret or something. He has Rakshasa's Secret, I'm discarding these two. The Alpine Grizzly and the Wind Scout. But what is Rite of the Serpent? That's fine. So now I'm going to Master the Way your face. Going to play... Well, I think I just need to attack, right? That's all I need to do. Yeah. Okay. So Mardu. Do I have anything that again, I really don't have much in the way of sideboard. Sultai Soothsayer is excellent against Mardu. He had 2 Sidisi's pets, but I'm not that worried about those. I have a bunch of 4 power creatures that can just attack through them. So I think I run it back again. The thing is, like, against Mardu, what do you really want? You want like 2/3s. So I'm already running all of those anyway. I guess Inoc Tracker, again, could be good, could be better than Jeskai Wind Scout. Maybe I should make that change. Let's see, if he goes wide, do I have ways to punch through damage? Or do I just have to like slowly attack a little bit? That's the worry that I have. I guess I have Roar of the Challenge, I have Mystic of the Hidden Way, and I still have Ice Feather Raven. Great opening hand. I think I lead on the green here. It probably isn't going to matter. Jeskai Student, sure. we are going to play a secret plan. I mean, I say it's not going to matter. It matters that I don't play the mountain because I need to play a 2-drop here. Bear's Companion is a really good card against Mardu also. But I'm going to be playing my Ice Feather Raven face down, and then I'm probably going to flip it up on turn 4. So drawing a tap land one of the next 2 turns would be pretty welcome here. Wow, no extra card. Okay. Now we're going to cast the Ice Dad. If he attacks here, if they attack here, I probably accept it. Like, there's Feat of Resistance that can be bad for me. There's the -2/-2 aura that can be bad for me. And there's, well, let's see. The 4-mana deal 3 damage instant, he would just cast at sorcery speed. There's Defiant Strike, which would be bad for me. So I'm going to take the 1 damage. It's a free roll attack, but, well, assuming he has some play post-combat that can block this thing, it's a free roll attack. Let's see. I'm trying to play a value game here. Okay. So he's doing this anyway. So when I flip this up, it's going to die. I'm going to draw a card, and then it's going to die. Okay. So I probably want to wait to do that. I'm going to play the Mystic Monastery. I could play like the Monastery Flock and unmorph it here, but I want to play my 5-drop next turn. So I'm glad that I did not that I didn't block, because the 1 damage is yeah, I'm very happy to take that. I think I'm going to take the 1 damage again here because I want to bounce something, and I'd rather bounce the best thing that I can. Wow, Wingmate Rock. Okay, well, that's, like I said, the best card in the format. So we are going to be able to actually deal with it okay here, though. We got to draw a card. We're going to bounce the token, which kills it. Yes. And now we can just master the way to kill this one. This format is great. So next turn I can either play Witness of the Ages, I can play Witness of the Ages and Monastery Flock both morphed, or I can play the Bear's Companion. We'll see what happens here. 6 mana, that's a flyer. Okay, I think I want to play 2 morphs. Other times I would really have considered which one to play first, because it's like a mind gamesy thing. But in this case, I'm just going to play them out. So I want to play them as morphs because I get to draw cards, and that's really good, in case you didn't know. Bitter Revelation, sure. So he's definitely the aggressor here. If there's an attack with Jeskai Student, I think I just double block it. It can't kill both my things, and I guess he can kill one, but okay. So he just plays a morph. So my plan is to double unmorph next turn. And I have a land. So I'm going to unmorph this and block here. I'm going to unmorph this and block anything that gets attacked with. Of the ground creatures, that is. I think I'm in pretty good shape in this game. Um, do I have any real particular reason to think that? Well, I think I'm up a lot on cards, right? Uh, 7 mana, so we can't flip Ponyback Brigade. Well, the biggest worry that I have is that they flip a Ponyback Brigade here. They play a creature, let's say a 2-drop, and then the next turn they have like a Trumpet Blast or something. So this probably attacks and not anything else. We're gonna flip this up. Draw a card. Another morph. And another morph. That's a lot of morphs. Okay, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 mana. I could go. Let's see. I could play Bear's Companion and face down a morph. I can play 2 morphs face down. To do that, I would have to have played an island. I could play 2 morphs face down and um, 2 morphs face down, and then flip the flock up and play my Windscarred Crag. What else can I do? I think I like that line. I just want to build up a board big enough that I'm not worried about the mass pump spell. So we're going to go morph, morph, tap land, pass. Keep these spells in reserve. Keep my life total high. Just build out my board fast enough. It's fine. Roar of Challenge actually deals with this pretty nicely. Is there an instant speed removal spell that can get me here? No, I don't think so. Kill Shot? That doesn't work against Roar of Challenge, so this is probably going to be my plan. Again, I'm just going to keep drawing cards here. Play the land. Roar of Challenge this to kill this, and I guess try to kill a couple morphs. Or I could just make sure that I kill the scavenger. But that doesn't seem to matter as much with 2 flying blockers. So let's Roar of Challenge this. And this is at least going to get 2 creatures, so that's nice. So the Hateblade first, and then I should maybe think more about what order to order these morphs in, but I'm not going to think too much about it. Probably doesn't matter too much because they can flip up in a way that, yeah. The worst case is that I kill the Hateblade and a Sidisi's Pet. best case is that I can kill 3 things, but that's pretty unlikely. Ooh, you know what? I should have thought more about bear punching pre-combat. It lets me do a lot more stuff. Jeering Instigator would have been fantastic, so I'm very glad to have dodged that. Let's just go ahead and cast this. I probably should have cast my bear punch pre-combat, but it's okay to have it in reserve now. So, one morph left, and I haven't seen any Sidisi's pets yet this game, so there's a good chance that that's this, but I'm still most worried about a Ponyback Brigade. It's a Sidisi's pet. That's a weird time to unmorph. Rush of Battle. Okay. So this is what I was worried about, but I think I'm going to be fine. So this is an easy block, this is an easy block, this is an easy block, and I take 5, and I get this off the table. This is not much of a threat, and this is not much of a threat. Yeah, this is totally fine. So I think first thing is to flip this up, draw a card. Okay. So now I can play a Jeskai Wind Scout and Savage Punch, or I can play a Morph and Savage Punch, or I could just play a Morph, or just play a Jeskai Wind Scout. If I'm going to punch something, it would be the bird, but I don't think I need to punch anything. If I'm not going to punch anything, then this is the best morph to play. And let's attack with both of these. I'm going to hold this back because the thing I'm most worried about is my life total. That may be incorrect, but I just want to be a little bit safe here. I don't really want to block with this. I should have the long game sewn up, so really the only thing I'm worried about is like Ponyback Brigade into another Rush of Battle or Trumpet Blast kind of effect. Suspension Field, toughness 3 or greater. So this is probably going after this, but if he's trying to push through the last damage, it could be going after a Monastery Flock. I guess it could go after the Morph to deny me a card, but obviously there's no good attacks here. Okay, I draw a Forest. This is a part of the game where I start to think about holding lands for my second Master of the Way. Let's see, if I flip this up and then I Savage Punch there and there, if I Savage Punch here, I take 3. So I think I Savage Punch this, I flip this up, I attack for 11. Well, I guess I flip this up first. I guess I still don't need to Savage Punch. Ooh, you know what? I can Savage Punch here and attack for 13. And that's... Or I could just not punch. I think not punching is best. So let's just attack. And then I can play my Morph and my Wind Scout. Now the question is, do I want to play a land? Next turn I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 mana right now. I'm going to spend 5 of it to flip up the thing. I think I don't play the land. I think 10 mana is enough. Well, and 11, because I can always play the forest next turn. Ghostfire Blade is very good. It's a very good card. Fortunately for me, after they equip the Sultai Scavenger, I assume that's what they're equipping here. I'm just going to go ahead and chump. Like, this Monastery Flock is not doing anything for me if it's not blocking, so I'm going to go chump here. I can Savage Punch. Well, I should... Five, 3, 2. Okay. Well, let's unmorph this first. Savage Punch. Uh, 3, 9, 13. Well, let's not attack with the Bear's Companion. I guess the only thing I really need to worry about very much is some kind of a threaten effect, and keeping more creatures back is probably better against that. There's no way that they don't block at least something. So we'll do this, we'll ship the turn. We almost certainly have lethal next turn. I guess Pony Back Brigade would mean that I don't have lethal, but wow, that's incredibly narrow. And I've already gotten so much value out of this, it's not like it's a good trade anyway. So you can equip now, but I obviously have an easy block, no cards in hand. I'm blocking 100% of the time with this flock, and you're dying on the crackback. So let's see, 4, 8, 10, like just attack with everything. And I don't even think I need to flip this up. 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah. Cool. 2-0, 2-0-2-0. Let's go for the trophy. Let's go for the trophy. Let's go for the trophy. What a great format. Secret plans. Well, everything's coming up Wandering Winder. This is a great hand. We're going to play, well, I shouldn't say everything. Like, have lost every die roll. But, okay, whatever. I'm going to play the forest, I guess. I'm not sure that it matters a ton. We're going to play next turn Island Secret Plans. Basically, no matter what. In turn 3, we're going to play a Morph. Basically, no matter what. So that was the draw for this turn. The mulligan, they kept a card on top. So they kept this on top. Interesting. Black-red always means Mardu, or I guess more than 3 colors. Or some off unsupported thing, I guess. This is a fine card and defensively it's fine, but it's like a lot worse on turn 2 than it is on turn 1. Because if you would have been able to play this, if they would have been able to play this on turn 1, then they could have outlasted on turn 2. And anyway, whatever. Not going to go too much into that. We are going to play Secret Plans. Turn 3, we're going to play a Morph. Turn 4, there's a very good chance we have morphed the Mystic of the Hidden Way and we unmorph it and start going to town with 3, 3, 3, 3. Here is a morph. Okay. I think I play this one because I'm not really in that much of a hurry to start getting going attacking. Like, I more just want to make sure that I get my value. I should win the long game thanks to the Secret Plans. And so I want to block here. This looks like a raid attack. So there's some card which has raid on it that they want to play. Yeah. Now this is interesting. I cannot unmorph this. However, I can Dragon Scale Boon. Or I could play a second morph, in which case they're going to attack me for 4. How does that really advance my game plan, though? I think I need to plan on Dragon Scale Boon and hope that they don't have something to blow me out. If I had red mana, it would be a lot better because I could just flip this thing up and trade it with the Saddle Dad. But I don't, so... Also worth noting is Roar of Challenge is going to rot a little bit. Yeah, if enough stuff gets traded off, I can maybe Hooting Mandrills. I'm also currently representing that I could either be Teamer or Sultai. Again, the power of being in an enemy color combination. If my opponent does nothing here, do I fire off the boon anyway? I also, like, I considered somewhat attacking there. They may or may not block, and then I can Dragon Scale Boon. Either as a surprise or not, but probably just to get the 2 damage in. Now here, if this is the 5-3, I get blown out pretty bad. So I think I need to block this way, unfortunately. But you want to block before you cast your trick in this situation in case they have a kill spell in response. Because if they do have a kill spell in response, now that lack of an unmorph is a little bit interesting, a little bit sus, as Adam might say. Let's go ahead and try to kill the Saddle Dad. Please work. I think it kind of has to, though. There isn't really a trick to punish me there. Cast this face down. Attack for 1 billion damage. Feel really good about our lives. I'm trying to think now. This morph, I'm trying to think what you would rather outlast than unmorph the morph for. So maybe it could be an Einok. I think the most likely thing is that it's like a Ponyback Brigade. I guess it could be the 5-3 and he just really likes outlasting, but I also guess it could be like a Sidisi's Pet. Okay, no unmorph. He's going to outlast again. If he outlasts again, well, I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay, Aerostorm. Aerostorm on that thing. Okay. So I have 3 in the graveyard. I probably just go ahead and flip this up and start racing. I could also just play the Hooting Mandrills. Hooting Mandrills blocks everything. Probably attack. Is this thing ever blocking? I guess it might block. This is probably going to block here. There is no morph that this can be that will eat a 4/4, at least without playing a third color. Okay, that was such a fast outlast. There is the white mana. So now we need a strike while the iron is hot in getting damage in. Let's go ahead and flip this face up. Draw ourselves a card. That will be good next turn. I guess I play the land. Attack with both. I'm going to play Bear's Companion next turn. The real only way I can think of losing this game is via either Rush of Battle or Trumpet Blast. So I expect these to both... This can't really attack, actually. This doesn't make sense. Well, how are you dealing with this? Maybe there's a card that can just block my 4/4 and feels like he needs to get in, or they feel like they need to get in enough damage to not lose to this so fast. Okay. And that attacks or blocks, sacrifice at end of combat. Sure. Huh. Well. 6, 7. So. If I pay Bear's Companion, I can't play anything else. I have a lot of blockers. I can't really lose. If I play Monastery Flock and flip it up, I can play Roar of Challenge, but what does Roar of Challenge actually do for me? Very little. I guess, okay, how am I losing this game? I'm losing this game to, I guess, a Wrath. If they go Plains and Hostilities. I could lose to, if they play Rush of Battle on their next turn, they gain 7 life. Is this a warrior? It is a warrior. They gain a lot of life. So how can I best play around Rush of Battle? I think Monastery Flock. That was probably a slight mistap, but not very consequential. Okay, that was a decent draw. So we're going to attack with this. We're not going to attack with this at the end of combat. Yeah. I guess that I don't really want to trade this for this. I'd rather just be able to Monastery Flock to do the thing. And I probably have lethal next turn if my opponent doesn't have anything, or if they like flip up for a Ponyback Brigade. which they shouldn't do at sorcery speed. Like, if they just play a creature, let's say, that takes all or most of their mana, then, or if they play the last card in their hand, let's say that, I probably have lethal next turn via Roar of Challenge, and then these two creatures are lethal. Uh, you do have to worry a little bit if they don't play anything that the Roar of Challenge. Okay. Right, they could have Throttle. Oh, Master the Way makes it easy. Inoc Tracker, interesting. Okay. Always good to note what those morphs are. Um, this is a little bit of a weird Mardu deck. Again, I could play Inoc. I could play Inoc Tracker. It's pretty bad against the O-Force, though. The Wind Scout actually seems better here. Again, in general against Mardu, Inoc Tracker would be good, but in against the cards that I've actually seen, I think the Wind Scout's better, which is unusual for Mardu. I'm gonna just run it back again. And that is something about this format is that you don't often get a lot of sideboard cards. I think if you're drafting correctly anyway, because you end up with things like Sultai Soothsayer, which you gave up on, maybe some lands that didn't pan out, and then there are some clunky, just bad cards. Um, so, like these are okay. These there's some matchups that there are a lot of 4 power things. This is an okay card, but it's mostly just a worse card in my deck. Um, Obviously, like you would think for a multicolor set, I don't know. I guess you spend enough picks on lands. I don't know. Anyway, I'm feeling good about this. Okay, we have tap land into secret plans again. Okay, so part of the success of this draft has been that I've drawn secret plans way more than I have a right to. I am not going to complain. I can't actually cast it here also, so like that's something. Watch me draw a forest off the top. Frontier Bivouac. Well, it ain't a forest, but you're going to attack me for 1. You're going to outlast again. Outlasting again is usually better than attacking for 1 in these situations, just as a by the way. But if you have a play, then that changes things somewhat. So here I like playing the flock rather than playing the secret plans for a couple reasons. And I want to do it face down because I do eventually want to flip it up to secret plans. The biggest reason here is that it can block the 1/5. I'm not blocking this. I'm just taking 4 damage and saying, okay, you can have a 3 mana 4 damage burn spell. That's fine with me. Okay, Outlast again. Are you going to attack? I don't think you should attack. Okay, so now let's see. You could just flip up it. I should probably do this. Flip up at this speed in case I draw a tap land. I could also hold up Dragon Scale Boon, but I'm not really going to Dragon Scale Boon my Monastery Flock. And doing it at instant speed, like, I'm not really getting them. It's not like they're going to attack their 4/4 into my morph anyway. Best case scenario with trades for my morph, they're not really ahead. Worst case scenario, they spent 3 mana to do 4 damage and they're not really ahead. That is a good card. So they got to attack with this now. They don't. They should have. Pretty sure they should have. So now I have 5 mana. And I think what I want to do. The two main lines are I can Master the Way the Merrick Nightblade. I'm going to play my land no matter what. I could play Master the Way targeting Merrick Nightblade, just kill it and draw a card. Or I can play a Morph and Heir of the Wilds. That'll take me down to 4 cards in hand. Next turn I'll have 5. And I'll still be able to kill this for sure. So if I really wanted to kill the Disowned Ancestor, I could Master the Way it now, but I'm not so high on that. Because what I am probably doing is playing Master the Way next turn, I think I would rather. Maybe that's not true. I was going to say I would think that I would rather play the Canyon Lurkers than the Freet Weapon Master, but that might not actually be the case. Yeah, so let's play these 2 cards. And pass the turn. Probably go ahead and fire this off on the Nightblade next turn. Um, the Disowned Ancestor is going to be a little bit hard to get through, but I'm not that worried about it. Like, I can eventually build a big Heir of the Wilds. Heir of the Wilds Roar of Challenge is a great combo, by the way. Once I get this more flipped up, if I Roar of Challenge on Heir of the Wilds and give it Indestructible, and it's attacking for 3, then it gets to just eat 3 creatures. So I could do that once I get the mana for it. The problem is that that's a little bit less good against if they're outlasting like this. Yep. Yep, I will accept your damage. I'm not too bothered about the 2 damage here, in all honesty. Okay. Okay, that's interesting. So I think, let's see. I might still just have to Master the Way. Part of me wants to flip up this morph. And attack. But actually, I should maybe, if I was going to do that, I could flip it up to block. I can't draw a land if I do that. No, I think I'm going to Master the Way. Card is too big of a problem for me. Bear Punch is a good draw. Okay. And I'm well defended here. My Monastery Flock blocks anything that's going on the other side. I still have 17 life. I have extra cards, equal number of lands. I'm ahead in, well, I'm not ahead in life total, but my life total is close enough, and I'm ahead in so many other ways that I feel real good. Okay, that's a card. That's a real card. Now, let's just keep playing stuff out. The nice thing about Bear's Companion is that it lets me prep the Roar of Challenge for next turn. Yeah. I am just surviving at this point. There is a Teamer card that's 3 mana, deals 1 damage to every creature your opponent controls, and if you have Ferocious, then your opponents can't, the creatures your opponents control can't block this turn, or maybe it's just creatures can't block this turn or something, but it makes them being able to block. That is not quite enough to kill me right now. Land plus that and Trumpet Blast kills me. So I'd like to start being able to play around that as I can, and I think I probably will be able to next turn, as this Heir of the Wild. Currently, if my opponent just plays um, a creature here, say, yeah. So now this Heir of the Wild, I can Roar of Challenge it and kill the whole board except for this 4/8. So I'm gonna do that. And I'm going to attack with all of these, and I can't do anything useful for my 2 mana. I guess I could play this Aven, but I'd much rather not. So it gets to kill everything because, first of all, it's going to go to 3/3, so, and it has Death Touch. So it can assign 1 point of damage to 3 different creatures. And then this is going to have to block, and it has to get sacrificed anyway. So this is a 4-for-1. By the way, if you don't know Magic very well, 4-for-1s are great, and 4-for-1s for 3 mana are incredibly good. And yeah, there's basically almost no limited decks that can overcome that, unless there's like just severe mana issues. Um, so I'm going to deal 1 damage to each of these 3 things. And this is going to die because of the sacrifice trigger. I'm going to deal 10 damage to my opponent. And I'm probably going to have lethal next turn. Um, oh, I guess I could have killed the 4/8 with a Savage Punch. I can still do that post combat, so it doesn't really matter. So I should think about that. Because I can Savage Punch because this has Death Touch. I could just kill this, but um, I think I probably just won't. Because how is the only way I'm losing this game now? Active treason. Well, that's really good to know. And that's cute. So this guy can't block. Okay. That is a really interesting and ingenious play. He's going to take 1 more damage when this one blocks. Um, and he has an active treason. So I can Savage Punch to kill either of the creatures here. I can play an Ice Feather Aven. I have to worry about active treason plus, let's say, land and Trumpet Blast. Active treason, land, Trumpet Blast. If they take a 4-power creature, then that's 4, 8, 12, 18. I block something, I'm still surviving. I really don't think I can lose. I guess I should preserve my life total, so I'm gonna Savage Punch anyway. This is a little bit worse against Wrath, but like I think I'm winning against Wrath anyway. And that does it. 3-0, 6-0, easy game, easy life. Uh, I don't think that was an amazing deck, but that's part of why I love the format. Lots of mana sinks. You just build a pretty good deck. You get lucky to draw secret plans all the time, but there's good build arounds that you can do things like that. Morphs, combat, reading those situations. And I played the format so much that I got pretty good at reading those situations and what to do with all of the morph kind of combat. It's a skill I built up over time, so feel really good about it. Love the format. Thanks for watching this video.